Now, as we welcome Matthew Barton, District Attorney for the 23rd Judicial District of Mississippi. Matthew, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very glad to be here.
All right, so we've been talking about the election all day because it's only a week away. It's hard to believe it is here. It is upon us. As a district attorney, do you have any particular thoughts? You have any prognostication of the outcome at this point? What do you think?
Well, it's hard for me to predict an outcome. You know, there's polls everywhere that say everything. And, you know, the scientists that do that, they probably have a better idea than me. I'm just hoping for the best.
I got you. So you've served as a district attorney with Vice President Harris serving in that particular role. What's that been like? Anything in particular you can share with us?
Yeah, I think that the way we prosecute crimes is a direct reflection of our values. That's just the way it is. If you look at all the greatest places you have visited and lived and look at how they deal with crime and then consider the quality of living there, you're going to see a correlation. So I think the way she prosecuted, she described herself as a progressive prosecutor. She was proud of being progressive before people were really using the word quite as much. You know, she was a line prosecutor in the 90s. She was the district attorney 2004 to 2010. Then she was the AG after that. And she was really proud of her progressive policies that we would call radical now. And that's a reflection of who she is. And that's not what we want for our country. You know, I think we need to listen to what Donald Trump said when he said we don't want to let her do what she did to California to America. And so it all circles back to what are your values and who are you? And she's the type of person that coddles to criminals and is okay with letting them run the show.
Yeah, and a lot of this actually, it manifests at your level, does it not? At the district attorney level often.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And, you know, it goes to the border as well. Her policies as a prosecutor are reflective of her policies now or her philosophies. When she was a prosecutor, there was there were instances where immigrants had committed violent and heinous crimes, including murder. There was one specific case where an immigrant came over and murdered a man and both of his children, and she had the opportunity to go for life, even though a lot of people, or death, even though a lot of people wanted her to go for the death penalty. She did not do it. When an officer was killed, she had the chance to go for death, and she didn't do it. And you know, where she's at, San Francisco, they're historically a sanctuary city, and she, you know, coddles to that. And so as the borders are, she coddled to immigrants as well. And now I'm seeing that right where I live. You know, we're in DeSoto County, right outside of Memphis. So Memphis is a hub city for more than just FedEx. So we get a lot of, you know, that immigration comes through here too. Every town's a border town the way she treats the border. I've been trying my best to deport as many of the illegals as we can. We have instances where we have rape cases, violent cases, murder cases, attempted murder, all the way down to, you know, drug dealing. And that's all the result of people that came here illegally because of soft on crime stances. And that's what they do in our communities.
How does that work, Matthew? How does the deportation process, how does that just play out? What's the sequence? Can you initiate that as a district attorney? Is there some federal involvement in that as well?
Yeah, so my office has partnered with ICE to try to streamline the process a little bit. When Trump was the president, it was a little bit simpler. Under this new administration, the district attorney needs to get involved in some instances to kind of basically get things started to let ICE know that we're okay with the deportation occurring depending on what charges we have at a state level. And so when we have these guys in our jail, we reach out to ICE and tell them, hey, here's some individuals we've identified. They're here illegally. They have been accused of crimes by the state of Mississippi. But as a representative of the state of Mississippi, I am trying to initiate deportation process. And when I do that, ICE does come through and pick them up. But I do have to do something about it. And so that's why it's important to have prosecutors that have conservative values, because that's not going to happen in every community across the country. And a lot of district attorneys don't even realize that the process is a little different now under this new administration. And so we've had success with it, and we're telling our friends about it.
Is it evident in any way that perhaps the ICE officials are receiving some sort of instructions from the Biden administration to, I guess, be somewhat lax in the enforcement of these laws, and even get to, the act of deporting an illegal?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what instructions they receive. I could not speak to that. I will say that the process has a couple extra steps in it now. It's not too hard if you're, proactive and you're trying to get it done. You can get it done, but you do have to just take a couple extra steps.
Yeah. So if the Republicans are successful next week and Donald Trump becomes a new president, how might that change things for you as a district attorney, do you think?
Well, for one, speaking of illegals, the feds could just come in and take somebody and deport them. They wouldn't have to wait on, local and state officials to get that done. They could just go ahead and do it, which would be great. And then, I'm an advocate for police. The police do all the hard work on the streets, and then it's my job to get their case across the finish line and get it in front of a judge and a jury. And so, I'm here to advocate for the police. They need all they can get to keep our streets safer. Kamala Harris says that, and she said it multiple times, that the idea of making the streets safer by adding police is just wrong. She thinks that more police does not equate to more safety. She said that numerous interviews. But that's the exact wrong approach. We need more police. We need more resources for them to keep them safe, to give them the best training so that they can apprehend individuals and fight crime proactively. She's the exact opposite of what we need.
Yeah, that seems to be the case really across the country. Anywhere you've got blue-led governments, particularly at the municipal and the county level. I mean, it's become almost laughable some of the DAs and their actions, where they seem to give deference to the criminals and the victims don't appear to be a priority to them.
Yeah, I mean, you've sized it up correctly. And that's why we need Republican leadership and from the top down.
I wonder why that's the case. That doesn't even seem like it should be a Republican, a partisan issue, a Republican versus Democrat issue. Why in the world are they against just prosecuting and convicting and even incarcerating, if the case may be, people that commit crimes and break the laws in this country?
Yeah, I mean, you would think right is right and wrong is wrong. It doesn't matter if you want to vote conservative or liberal. If someone breaks the law, they break the law. It should be that simple. I think a lot of it really fractured over the defund the police movement and some of these stories that caught a lot of national attention, and different sides of the aisles picked different positions on these momentous occasions. I think back to George Floyd. That was a big deal. And when that happened, Kamala Harris, she was advocating for independent reviews of police actions and things like that. And she didn't want to use the word defund police, so she said reimagine funding. And when things like that happen and it catches so much attention, people feel like they have to state their opinion, and then it becomes a dividing line. And it I don't know, maybe that trickles down to where all of a sudden funding and police work becomes a national political issue, when I don't think it should be.
Yeah.
But that's what everybody's hearing every day, and so that's what they think about. And they say, oh, well, I'm for this and they're for that because of this one story that's maybe not representative of the overall issue. It's hard to look at a broad issue like that in a vacuum, but that's what we get stuck doing because we only follow a few stories in the media.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can reinsert some sanity into the process, because if you don't have adherence to the law and the rule of law enforced, you really can't have a functioning democracy, and you certainly can't have economic prosperity as well. Matthew, we appreciate you joining us today. Yep, great analysis.
Yeah,
appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot, man. We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Well